wives say they have not been officially served with a new charge sheet, even as their clients face fresh charges in court. The couple is being arraigned today over alleged theft, fraud and money laundering involving more than 60 million cedis. Now, fresh documents filed at the Accra High Court allege multiple criminal offences linked to financial improprieties at NAFCO. The move follows the dramatic rearrest of Bayoko moments after they were discharged in an earlier case. We'll hear from law lecturer Justice Abdullah shortly for his legal take on this case. But before that, listen to my colleague. On bringing a brief on that.
New charge sheet filed by the Office of the Attorney General levels 20 counts against the couple, including stealing, defrauding by false pretenses, willfully causing financial loss to the state, abuse of public office for profit, dishonestly receiving, and money laundering. According to the court filing, prosecutors accused the former NAFCO boss of fraudulently obtaining 734,000 cedis from NAFCO in 2017 under the pretext of rent payments purportedly covering the period May 2017 and May 2019. The state alleges that the representation was false and constituted defrauding by false pretense. A second charge accuses Mr. Abdul-Wahab of willfully causing financial loss to the state through the same alleged rent claim. The prosecution claimed that between February 2017 and February 2025, Mr. Aludiba, while serving as CEO of the company, allegedly diverted 50 million cedis from the state agency under the guise of making payments to a trading company. The court document further alleged that the transactions amounted to stealing and constituted abuse of public office for personal gain. In another set of allegations, prosecutors accused the former CEO of channeling payments from the company to a business allegedly owned by his wife, identified in the charge sheet as Alkani Enterprise. Prosecutors claimed the transactions were fraudulent and constituted theft and abuse of office. Pfizer said the Wuni, named as second accused person, is facing separate charges of defrauding by false pretense, dishonestly receiving, and money laundering. According to the charge sheet, the state alleges she falsely represented that her business had supplied food items to the buffer stock company, causing the company to part with more than 3 million cedis. The prosecution also alleged that she knowingly received and possessed funds believed to have been obtained through unlawful means.
Let's now engage private legal practitioner and law lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Justice Abdullah, for more on this. Thanks for joining us on the news. So first, what do these fresh charges mean for the legal standing of the accused persons after their earlier discharge by the court?
More complicated than we thought. And it is more difficult now. Of course, let's all remember that in all these cases, the prosecution still has obligation to prove the guilt of the accused. And so let's all look at the accused person with the same positive thought that we did right from the onset. The accused person, until proven guilty, continuously remains innocent. And so we need to remember that at all times. It may not be an exciting moment for the accused person, but it is definitely a very difficult moment for all of us to grapple with this new set of facts. And if the evidence points to that, I think we all need to join the prosecution to condemn the accused and possibly find a very nice place of abode for her or for him in a government institution appropriately. That people of that deserve.
While this is not quite alien or very novel to the criminal processes in our country, what do you say to those who are saying that, well, the Attorney General seemed to have been quite prepared and said he had done painstaking investigation? What's your take on that?
So, if you remember, I had indicated right from last week that I was expecting an amendment in the charges. I didn't expect that the most appropriate thing to do was to have dropped the charges and refile a new one and all of that. I thought that was quite necessary, but of course, they are the prosecutions, and then they determine what they think is the most appropriate thing to do at this point. But having said that, the Attorney General would have to be consistent with that going forward, because we were all made to believe that all the investigations have been done, a painstaking one for that matter, and dockets fully prepared. If you remember, in the early days, I kept insisting that rather than the Attorney General continuously addressing us through the press, what we need to see is that in doing so, which is a very good thing in addressing us, he should have the charge sheet in his hand, either going to court or before the address. The charges ought to have been filed before addressing us. Now, if you did that, you buy the entire support of the nation, because it will not just be another press conference, one over the other, with nothing really happening. And this has ignited yet other conversations, because if we were indeed prepared from the moment, from the onset, why do we have to come to this point? Clearly means that something did not, work as expected, or unless, of course, the Attorney General is telling us this is completely new and they just discovered this one, it didn't exist from the day.
Have you seen the new charges?
That could be.
Have you seen the new charges?
Can you repeat that?
Have you seen the new charges? And do they?
I've not seen the new charges yet.
Okay. Many say that they're not too far off from the previous charges anyway. But money laundering as well has been cited.
I said the same thing last week.
Okay.
Chances are that we're not going to see any fresh charges. It's substantially going to be the same. And I predicted that. So even though I'm yet to see, I'm not surprised about that.
Do you anticipate some victory for the Attorney General in this particular matter?
It is very difficult to say, particularly because in criminal matters, you need to, the only thing we hear from day one would be their prosecution's case. Until that is done, the accused person will not be ordered to file, to open his defense. Until the defense is open, you can never tell whether or not there is indeed.
What do you say to the lawyers of the accused persons who say that they haven't been served with any charges yet? Does it matter at all in the scheme of affairs?
Indeed, it matters not, because usually you would find these charges being served either at the court premises or sometimes soon thereafter. And so it doesn't really change much. But it is appropriate that these things are done way before time.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the news today.
For God and country always.
Away from that, minority leader and member of parliament for Efutu, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has slammed authorities over the continued detention of Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Kwame Balfour, popularly known as Abronye, demanding his immediate release from BNI custody. Abronye DC was remanded for 2 weeks on Wednesday, May 13, 2026, in connection with ongoing investigation into alleged misinformation and offensive public statements. Now, addressing a press conference in Accra, Alexander Afenyo-Markin described the arrest as unconstitutional and said the minority will summon the Inspector General of Police and the Director of BNI to Parliament over the matter.
Demands, and they are non-negotiable. First, Mr. Kwame Balfour might be released from BNI custody immediately. His detention is constitutionally indefensible and must end today. Second, our legal team will mount full constitutional challenge to this prosecution, including challenge to the application of sections 207 and 208 of Act 29 against political speech where civil liberties are available and adequate. Third, Parliament's Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee shall, upon assumption of Parliament, be made through an application to summon the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of BNI to publicly account for every decision taken in this matter. The Chief Justice is not also above the law. Parliament will use every law under its command to summon the Chief Justice. They must all be answerable.
He also called on the majority to cooperate with the minority to end what he described as a growing cycle of political intimidation.
And let the majority know this. In the effort by the minority in ensuring this is done, they should not try to stampede it. It is good for democracy, and we call on the majority to support it, because tomorrow they may be in opposition and they may need this very law to protect them. I repeat, for our friends in the majority in Parliament, I call for their cooperation, even as the minority in summons the Chief Justice, the IGP, and the Director General BNI to appear before Parliament. They should support us. They should cooperate. It is a democratic responsibility. They shouldn't, for partisan consideration, decide to stampede us with their numbers. If they do, one day, they will regret it. Yeah. If they do, they may win with their numbers. Sure. But one day, by 2029, they will be shouting on the rooftops, asking for the law to protect them. And we'll tell them that when the time came, they condoned, they connived, and supported it.
Now, the Public Accounts Committee has taken on the Ministry of Labour and Employment over circumstances surrounding the purchase of 2 vehicles which cannot be traced. The claim for payment of a certain amount was flagged by the Auditor General in the 68.7 million Government Arrears Special Audit Report. The amount, according to the report, was meant for the purchase of 2 Nissan Tidal saloon cars, which can still not be traced. Responding to the audit's finding, Director of Finance at the Ministry, Moree, revealed that the document covering the transaction cannot be traced because the cars were supposedly bought in 2011.
Available. The Ministry, as we stand now, we don't have enough documentation on it. So when the auditors came, we made them aware that we don't have enough documentation on this. For the price adjustments of the pickup, that is selling automotive, they have been paid, but then they are saying that there was delay in payment. So they computed some interest for us to pay, of which Ministry of Finance was made aware of. The 2 horsepower air conditioning too, we don't have enough documentation on it. So we told the auditors, as we stand, we don't have enough documentation on them. So they reached out to those institutions. But then the institutions also didn't respond to what the auditors raised. For the last one, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, they are building, the cost for the completion of the building was a 5.1 million. The 4.3 million was work certified. And so because they were work certified, the auditors agreed to it. But then the remaining amount is work yet to be done. So they were rejected. And we all agreed to it that because it's work yet to be done, we agreed for it to be rejected.
My colleague James Aveji is bringing us details of this report at the Public Accounts Committee. James, first of all, let's get some clarity. So what are these brands? Nissan what? And how much particularly are we talking about? A little over 200,000? I need the figures quite correctly.
Yes, Emefa. So these are Nissan Tidal saloon cars, 2 of them costing a total of 223,000 Ghana cedis. And that's the main issue in contention. You heard her there also made mention of some 2 pickup vehicles which they are accruing interest. That's a separate matter. 2 pickups were bought, but the payment delayed. And because the payment delayed, the contractors were asking that interest be paid on it. But these vehicles were missing and cannot be found. Cost us some 223,000 Ghana cedis. Since 2011, 15 years ago, the vehicles can still not be found.
Interesting, James. So the finance director, however, has indicated that 40% of the amount have been paid and the rest keep accruing interest. How did she arrive at this conclusion, since the documents also cannot be traced?
That's exactly the question the member of the committee, Honorable Akufo-Addo, posed to her when she revealed that 40% of this money has been paid and the company is still demanding the rest. She said it's a company, the contractor, who is now being kind enough to apply them photocopies of those payment receipts, which means while the entire ministry is struggling to get the document of the contract, it is the second or third party which is now been kind enough to give them documents to substantiate the initial payment, at the back of which are demanding the rest of the money, 60%, to be paid.
That 40% of that amount was paid. and that subsequent to the auditors making verification with the suppliers, we could not find the 60%, and that is where you agreed to the rejection. If you did not include this, how did you get to know that 40% of this amount was paid? And upon what documents did you verify the 40% from?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What happened, we saw this one by the auditors. We reached out after the auditors have finished and we were supposed to come here. We reached out to the Japan Motors and other people to give us, for us to get information as to what transpired. And that is how come we got some information on them. We got some photocopies, but then we don't have actual documentation. You see, we are talking about outstandings to be paid. We can't just use any photocopy that somebody has given you to confirm that this is supposed to be paid. We need documents, real invoices and things to be paid. So if we don't have them, we can't just say that these are outstanding and they are credible, so validated, we should pay. We don't have them. These are some photocopies that we got, and that speaks to the issues. But as to documentations, as in the originals, for us to put before for payment to be done, we don't have them.
James, and how was this resolved?
The minister, the sector minister, Abu Rashid Pelpo, stepping in, indicate that if the vehicles were supposed to be meant for the Social Welfare Department, at the time 2011, operated under the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, which has since moved to the Gender Ministry. So what he wants to do now is to contact the Social Welfare Department, the ministry, to know if indeed the vehicles have been delivered, and whatever he finds out, he would furnish the committee with the outcome, which will fit the committee's recommendation to Parliament on this matter.
Now, who else is meeting the committee today?
The Minister of Sports is currently before the committee answering questions on expenditure and claims regarding the African Games in 2024. Which has come into question. The other general in that report has flagged some 36 million Ghana cedis, which they raised as meant for the provision of security by the Ghana Police Service. Within 3 weeks alone, work, they said they needed to be paid 36 million Ghana cedis. The committee is delved into that to get to the root of that matter. Emefa.
All right, James, thank you so much. We'll be on standby for you to bring us updates from that one as well. Now, President Mahama has revealed Ghana lost $78 million in US aid funding following closure of its programs in the country, stressing that bilateral and multilateral support to the health sector has declined significantly since 2025. Now, speaking at the 79th World Health Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland, he said sweeping cuts to international aid and the withdrawal of major Western funding from global health programs have exposed the vulnerabilities of African health systems and made health sovereignty an urgent necessity rather than a political slogan. He therefore called for a radical overhaul of the World Health Organization of financing system, warning that Africa can no longer survive on what he described as an outdated module of donor dependency.
We meet at the 79th World Health Assembly amid uncertainty, shifting global geopolitics, and deliberate assaults on the world's multilateral system have created doubts about the trajectory of global health cooperation and reform. 6 years after the last global pandemic, COVID-19, the world health architecture is changing rapidly. Overall humanitarian assistance is reported to have declined by 40%. And some of the largest Western economies have significantly cut their overseas development assistance. The World Health Organization's budget has been gutted by the withdrawal of U.S. assistance, forcing the organization to scale down programs and undertake steep staff retrenchments. In Ghana, health financing from bilateral and multilateral partners has significantly decreased since 2025. Ghana lost $78 million in health funding following the closure of U.S. aid programs. This money went mainly into malaria programs, maternal and child health, nutrition, HIV/AIDS programs, including testing and delivery of antiretroviral drugs. In South Africa, the abrupt withdrawal of PEPFAR funding has shut clinics, terminated gender-based violence programs, and left 1.4 million people living with HIV uncertain about their treatment continuity.
The Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, praised President John Mahama for his leadership in advancing efforts to reform the global health architecture.
It's time for a renovation to build a new global health architecture fit for the future. At this assembly, member states will consider a proposal for a member state-led WHO-hosted joint process to reform the global health architecture. Our purpose is not to launch a new initiative, but to bring together the many existing initiatives that have proposed reforms of the global health architecture in part or in whole. That's why we have chosen as the theme for this year's World Health Assembly, Reshaping Global Health, a Shared Responsibility. And this is where the leadership of His Excellency President Mahama has been so decisive in launching the Accra Reset last year.
Now, still on health and speaking before his departure to Geneva, Switzerland, President Mahama, during a meeting with the Northern Regional House of Chiefs, said it was not prudent for the previous administration to initiate all Agenda 111 hospital projects at once. According to him, some contractors who received payments have yet to move to site, raising concerns about execution and value for money. He indicated that 35 of the Agenda 111 will be completed within a year.
With the Agenda 111 hospitals, I don't think it was a very prudent idea to start 111 hospitals at the same time. At least they should have been phased out, but some are at foundation level. Even some of them, people took the mobilization and never went to site. Yoko is going after them. But what government has decided is that 35 that were almost near completion, government this year is going to put money in and continue them and complete them. And then adequate provision will be made in the next budget to clear another batch of them. But we're also inviting the faith-based organizations that run hospitals to adopt some of the hospitals that they think they can complete and bring into operation. And so that's...
Now, there is a desperate plea for help from residents of Moree in the central region who have been displaced by tidal waves. The incident, which occurred on Saturday, has destroyed property and left over 80 residents without shelter. Some of the affected residents who spoke to JoyNews pleaded for urgent help to avert outbreak of diseases as they are now sleeping in the open. And Abigail Aisel has the rest of the story.
The tidal wave incident which struck Moree on Saturday displaced more than 80 residents, destroyed properties, and brought normal life in the fishing community to a standstill. With several families stranded and struggling to salvage their belongings, affected residents are urgently appealing to government and other relevant agencies for immediate relief and support. We need urgent help from our president, our DC and our MP, Honorable Ofosu-Kwakye. More than 80 of us are displaced and have lost our homes. We have nowhere to shelter our children. So we need urgent assistance, particularly shelter. We are pleading with our leaders and NGOs to extend a helping hand to us. The tides have swept away all our money and belongings. It has been difficult getting a place to sleep. We are pleading with governments for support.
Let's get to the ground and speak to our correspondent, Abigail Isel. Abigail, first of all, before we get to the current situation on ground, for those who do not know where Moree is, could you paint a geographical location of where it is?
Right, so Moree is in the Abra-Asebu-Kwaman-Kese district of the Central Region. It is the town you move from before you get to Agri Memorial School. So it's in between Mfantsiman constituency and then Cape Coast. But from Moree, you go to Agri Memorial School. That's perfect. Abigail, what's the current situation on ground now? Currently, we have 80 people, 80 residents being displaced since Saturday after the incident, including adults and children. When you go to the grounds right now, you find a lot of these affected victims trying to salvage what little belongings they can, which is mostly nothing at all. And community members have also been of help, trying to, help these affected people to gather, some of these things that they've lost. Right now, homes have been lost, belongings, including clothing, and this is a predominantly fishing community. So most of these affected people have lost their means of survival in terms of losing their fishing gear. So now they can't even go to work as well. Children who have been affected have lost school books, uniforms as well, and, their clothing. Essentially, people's lives have been disrupted since the incident on Saturday. Would you say that this is a new thing that has happened, or as a community, they have witnessed such a wave before? Right. So from what we gathered on the grounds, we know that this happened in 2023, where some 15 homes collapsed and displaced over 100 people. So this is not the first time it is happening. Now, the community is very worried. It has happened the first time. This is the second time. They are, I am assuming that the authorities are waiting for it to happen, the third time or a fourth time before action is taken. They are scared. They are hoping and praying that the authorities are not waiting for the entire community to be washed away before something permanent is done to avoid this from occurring again. Let us in on the measures that have been put in place to at least assist the affected residents. Any relief items so far? No relief items in terms of essentials have been provided. We only know that these displaced people have been placed in temporary homes with extended families, which the NADMO director has said that has caused a bit of overcrowding. So in homes where there were about 3 people, now we have like 5 or 6 people, which is, impacting the space and also bringing financial burdens to these extended families. So the NADMO director is also calling for help, humanitarian support. But so far, in terms of clothing or money or anything, none of these essentials have been provided yet for these displaced residents. Well, Abigail, thank you for bringing us reports from Moree in the Central Region. Now, away from that, 5-year-old Miguel Interfol should be in school learning. Instead, he is in a race against time to survive a brain tumor that has forced him out of school and left him struggling to walk. After one emergency surgery, Miguel now urgently needs 53,000 cedis for another operation, and Florence Ahodagbe traveled to Gomwa to meet him and has come through with this report.
Are you sure dog is a non-living thing? No. Yes, example. Cheers. Clap for her.
In this classroom at Blessed Little Angels School, 5-year-old Miguel Interfol has not been in school for the past 2 months.
Dog, no.
Now, instead of running around with friends or learning in class, Miguel spends most of his days at home. Walking has become difficult. Sometimes he struggles to keep his balance. Miguel's mother, Joyce Donko, says it all started with complaints of headache after school one Friday.
Friday, a week, Nancy's match tamaso. Office school by no summer, miti, mamiti, tea, and mammy, a quadros to prepare, Palea day man. The complaint was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, no, because no sorry and a pa, and peja. Ah, Daddy, I didn't know you. The person who played was some by so. I didn't know. Na me was going to be a meton idea. And mother, swam my friends. Me get by a down or that many mean. Somebody have no hospital. And madam, mamma, me told me shop, maybe I know crowd. Training ya, bill was a me too. Na me didn't call. Offense, hospital, we were. What they be cruel. I'm didn't quite.
At the hospital, doctors ordered scans. The results revealed a dangerous condition, fluid building up inside Miguel's brain. Doctors later explained a tumor growing at the back part of his brain was blocking the normal flow of fluid and creating pressure inside his head. The first surgery was to drain the dangerous fluid from Miguel's brain and reduce the pressure. But the cost was overwhelming.
See, surgery near 200 million. 200 million. 100 million basa. No, say me count some Adam. Papa ni John why the man easy. Me flow away. Just my bobo. Eduane po mindibi. Na ya ne say o so ne Bible nko. Ties de no do ye na. Ties de no do ne mami. Madam, me be nani no. We ko say. Wo de ne gina ho a wonjina. Ati sa mesesa no. Na doctor penin no ba say. Maybe I blink to one one a control ni peduana. Wa dwani che say kwa ha. Obekwa. I want to say no.
The school contributed. Church members also stepped in. Small donations slowly came together.
I'm suffering past day by kakran discussion with my madam. Mami Joyce, Yanyabi, I saw my yet to inside me 51 million. One bungo to do me bed in Pastor Medasati. Friday no. No, Emefa. I'm before the no quay. The bed done 2 minutes. Some trains or dimbe baba. I did met me down home at 4 o'clock. And I did me mammy under. The most empire body if I don't quite 3 o'clock and what for me get mammy. There, Diana, what do open neighbor. MC Cross. The random that was sick.
But for Joyce, the relief did not last long. Miguel now needs a second surgery to remove the tumor itself. And once again, the family is struggling to raise the money needed to save his life. This time, the surgery will cost 53,000 cedis.
The mistake one the mistake. Mommy in a maker fa. Say go pon wanka. Am for akon one boama. Make up the mistake way. Make up the mistake way. Kwa hwe abeho ate dem me ya. The man say me atom dem mistake dem usually saka chichi no. Mama wo mpomenti bi da. Abu forget 5 years. 5 years. 5 years old boy. And then ni halika crack. Miss Ladoff. Obla my blame. Just say, Obi wa ukwa 106 no yama. TCD no yama. Na sasika me babu ano. I consider Ben men sasika.
While other children return home from school every day, Miguel can only watch from a distance. The classroom he loved now feels far away.
Kindly be generous to Miguel and donate to the Multimedia Foundation to help Miguel. Please stay for Showbiz.
Hello, Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabadim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number 1, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes.
If you want quality, this be where you belong.
Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it they carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it they make water they flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
When I was young, I asked my mother the secret of hair vitality and health. She said, the right food, the right exercise, the right amount of sleep, and the right blood tonic. Nescafe Blood Tonic is effective for the treatment of anemia, lack of appetite, and stressful conditions in both adults and children.
Nescafe Blood Tonic, the right family blood tonic. Another quality product from Ernest Chemists. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Thank you for staying. I am Lois Shalade, bringing you entertainment stories happening in and around the world. Let's get into a story. Now, Saturday's episode of Beats and Bars on Joy Prime turned up the heat once again as Akosua Akufo-Addo locked horns with Ajay Kutoku's Biggest J in an intense lyrical showdown packed with energy, confidence, and crowd-hyping moments. Now, the two rappers traded heavy punchlines and commanding performances across 3 heated rounds, keeping the battle exciting from beginning to end. But after all the bars had landed and the final round wrapped up, Akufo-Addo emerged victorious, impressing the audiences enough to secure the win and walk away with 1,000 Ghana cedis cash prize.
Makunko na me talking every day be me poorly who seen we say it's line young cross big team me a TikTok punchlines here hardcore the man feeling me sell lollipop the life me born in high life born in hip hop Anifa Osi waji baby the whole time Anifa me kura msem 10 pounds oti ase mami a measure crown adiasa me pe ko to bend down Masa pe be talking now guy no we say me hu ye masa was it dance masa pe be talking now guy no we say me hu ye we wine me need the biggest papa no to be say slippers criminals me say teams Mr. King me a guy rough a pan rapper me a king knockout I go me the papa boss Ebinu mo bede wo ho ase na so wo kire mi boss ne mo mu nka wo se hwiase nsem hunu ne doso da na wo pe mahwe ase no obewu 6 o'clock nyame na me na se someone ko wia ho vidro so nsem mini so me hwia na so mi tira me na so.
So the winner for this very edition is none other but all the way from Akosua, Adeti.
Well, moving away from that, modern art is often criticized and misunderstood, with many dismissing it as confusing or lacking meaning. But according to celebrated Ghanaian contemporary artist Ibrahim Mahama, the conversation around art goes far beyond what is simply seen on the surface. Speaking on the Talk Nor the Kukai's podcast, the globally acclaimed artist addressed the growing criticism surrounding modern art and explained why many people struggle to connect with it. He also argued that art is increasingly being treated as a luxury commodity, with powerful individuals and institutions using it to influence markets and control value. Here's what he said.
Sense that somebody tips a banana
to
a wall. It's called The Comedian. And it sells for $6.2 million. What is art really? Is it just me finding anything and calling it art?
You know, some art performs different roles and functions. And whether you like it or not, to a certain extent, sometimes it also becomes a luxury. It's a luxury good.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people, wealthy collectors in the world, they spend their money on buying art. Of course, some of them, when they buy those artworks, they get tax breaks and all other things. But also, capitalism has a way that it functions. And sometimes certain artists also become very cynical and they play with it. So, for instance, an artist might be very provocative by producing a certain work of art, knowing that because of their aura and the history of art making around the things that they make, it would somehow poke the market, and then the market will respond to it, and it does something to the market in relation to how we perceive art and also what we are willing to spend on it, like what culture itself is and what it means. But those of us in Africa, it means something entirely differently to us.
Well, that's for showbiz. For more entertainment stories, please do log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Loishala Ademi. Please stay for business.
This week on the Career Trail.
I was born in the States. I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. So I'm graduating at this point. I don't have a job. I don't have a business either. You know, I remember I sent, I was sending emails to people that had businesses on the continent. I mean, I'm sure whoever was reading the email didn't even know where Ghana was. And then for 2 years, made a lot of money in the process. And
You're welcome back. Let's settle for some business updates. I am Michelle Adjukum. And to a first story, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has charged members of the Monetary Policy Committee to engage constructively in formulating policies that will safeguard the country's macroeconomic stability amid rising geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. Now, his call comes against the backdrop of renewed energy pressures and fears of inflationary resurgence as fuel prices remain elevated following disruptions linked to the Strait of Hormuz. Dr. Isiama gave the charge in a speech to the opening of the 130th Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Accra.
The PCI will incorporate commitments relating to the Bank of Ghana's monetary policy framework. It will improve on the transmission mechanism. It will enhance the liquidity forecasting framework and maintain conditionality around the inflation targeting regime, with continued emphasis on forward-looking policies and the anchoring of inflation expectations. The corridor reform that has been under discussion at these meetings is directly consistent with the PCI's monetary framework pillar. The PCI will also focus on strengthening the bank's balance sheet over the medium term by limiting quasi-fiscal activities, improving transparency and oversight of the domestic gold purchase program. Addressing the operational constraints relating to the DGPP and the broader foreign exchange intermediation architecture, these will be part of the reform agenda in this future engagement. Of course, the foreign exchange framework and reserve management objective will also continue to be assessed. Colleagues, I encourage all of you to engage candidly and constructively over the coming days, as you always do. I have no doubt that our deliberations will contribute meaningfully to safeguarding macroeconomic stability and advancing the long-term interests of the Ghanaian economy.
Now let's talk about cybersecurity, as the Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Samuel Nartey George, has stressed the need for stronger cybersecurity measures, improved data protection and digital inclusion as Ghana advances its digital transformation agenda. Speaking at the launch of the 30th anniversary celebration of MTN Ghana, the minister revealed that strengthening cybersecurity and protecting citizens' data must remain a major priority as the country's digital economy continues to grow.
It's also important that we strengthen our cybersecurity and data protection. We must narrow the digital skills gap amongst our youth, and the environmental sustainability of our network expansion cannot be compromised. The ministry is currently reviewing several policy instruments, including spectrum policy, universal service obligations, and our data protection framework, with these challenges in mind. And we continue to invite industry, including MTN, to engage constructively with these reviews. But there are future opportunities, and those opportunities look very bright.
That's all for the business segment, but of course at 1 p.m. on Beyond the Numbers, we'll bring you more business news updates. For now, please do log on to myjoyonline.com for more business updates. I am Michelle Ejikun. Please stay for sports.
We bring you sports now on JoyNews today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. We are just 25 days to the FIFA World Cup, and guess what? Ghana exports billions of dollars of non-traditional goods annually to the USA. The 2026 FIFA World Cup match between Ghana and England would be in Boston, and so would be the Made in Ghana Expo on the 22nd and 23rd of June 2026 at the Envision Hotel in Boston. Latina Travel and Tour, in partnership with the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, invites Ghanaian manufacturers, entrepreneurs, artisans, food and beverage processors, fashion designers, beauty and cosmetics, as well as pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, real estate, banking and finance, building and constructions, and many more to leverage Ghana's World Cup moment and connect with international buyers, distributors, and investors in Boston, where traveling fans from all over the world would converge in Boston, the city with the strongest Ghanaian diaspora presence. This expo will showcase Ghana's most powerful commercial business exhibition and business-to-business network with U.S. companies. Register now, call to reserve a booth and enjoy massive global visibility and clinch your share in the huge U.S. export market. Call Latina on 0244-260-789 or come to Latina Travel and Tour located inside the Alisa Hotels Northridge and secure that slot. This Made in Ghana FIFA World Cup 2026 Expo is powered by the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, and also the only agency that have been given the opportunity or authorized to be able to sell FIFA World Cup tickets for the semi-final and the final is March Hospitality Experience. They have a small batch of tickets for corporate organizations and individuals who want to experience the tournament at its grandest stage. Get in touch with March Hospitality Experience on 055-155-1119, 055-155-1119, or sales@marchexphospitality.com or www.marchexphospitality.com. Now let's come home and talk about the Ghana Olympic Committee. Corporate organizations are pumping millions of cedis and dollars to support Ghana Black Stars participate in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Meanwhile, in July, there's going to be the Commonwealth Games. The Ghana Olympic Committee says they are yet to get even $1 from government or any corporate organization to support Ghana's participation. President of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Richard Akpokwavi, says corporate organizations are permitted to donate at least $10 million or even more to the Black Stars. However, they will need about $1 million or $2 million for Ghana's participation in this year's event.
Ghana has over 24 Olympic sports and more than 10 non-Olympic sports, which at least continue to bring honor and recognition to our nation. As corporate institutions, it is fair to support football with millions of dollars for World Cup campaigns, championships, whatever. I respectfully ask that support also be extended to the GOC and other sports federations. Even as you give football $10 million or $5 million for the World Cup, give the GOC $2 million or $1 million for the Commonwealth Games as well. When this happens, the impact on young people will be broader and more meaningful. There are many young people, many Ghanaians, from Gambanga to Accra, from Yosso to Keta, who may prefer boxing, hockey, badminton, cycling, basketball, volleyball, arm wrestling, shooting, whatever. Even if they are in a minority, they also deserve the crumbs that fall from the dinner table. That is why the establishment of the sports fund is critical. If managed properly, transparently and fairly, it will become a game changer for sports development in Ghana. We look forward to reviewing the rules and regulations governing access to the fund, and we stand ready to contribute our expertise and experience to ensure.
Emefa, you may want to give them $1 million to participate in the Commonwealth Games. That is your sports for now. Head on to myjoyonline.com for some more sports stories.
You're ready to hand over for me now? Anyway, thank you so much. Inshallah, we'll find some money. But thank you for watching the news today. I am Emefa Akosua. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com.
We were living in one of the pavilion behind. Later that we had this new building. Then we now moved to the new building.
You did a lot. They have come here and asked us, and they have continued our 6-unit classroom building.
A lot has changed. After documentary, we had 60 tables and chairs, then a 10-bedroom teacher accommodation.
We have never been fair to these young children. The children are suffering. We applied for school feeding, which will have also helped to increase the enrollment.
The impact has been great in terms of enhancing duty bearer responsiveness, in terms of responding to the infrastructure needs, in terms of teacher availability. We are seeing that there's progress.
In 2025,
the Bank of Ghana reported a loss of 15.63 billion Ghana cedis. But without one major move, that loss would have been 33.19 billion Ghana cedis.
So what actually changed the picture? Gold. The bank sold refined gold it had accumulated under its domestic gold purchase program.
The gold was bought mainly in 2023 and 2024, when prices were relatively lower. By 2025, prices had increased. So when the bank sold it, it made 9.57 billion Ghana cedis in profit.
And there is also the savings jar effect, past gains from rising gold prices that were not actually recorded immediately.
When the gold was sold, those gains were released, adding 7.99 billion Ghana cedis.
So in total, gold delivered 17.56 billion Ghana cedis in relief. Without it, the loss jumped to 33.19 billion Ghana cedis.
So now, what was actually driving the losses underneath?
16.73 billion Ghana cedis open market operations. This is the bank paying commercial banks